You can accept it. Like you say, it's 3 months later. We're not making a film about the moment that everyone said, "Oh shit, the world is going to end. We're going to die." You know, I know when we talked about it on on the set, working with the other actors, when we talked about, okay, the world is going to end, I got like a flat response. You know, when I started saying, "Hey, man, you were going to die tonight. You think about that. You personally are going to be gone. You are going to be dead." And then finally, people started grappling with the one thing, the one thing that we all know is true. You can't, except there's two things that they say, right? Death and taxes, right? And so I know the IRS has taxes covered. That's a death. Death is the other death. Anything else you don't really know about. So battling with the knowledge of that. We all know we're going to die every moment, every day. You put it out, you take it, you accept it. But what you do in the meantime is what life is about. Adam, I forgot to mention, one of our producers, Adam, okay, we reached out to Al, right? We reached out to Gore, definitely. He's definitely pro. Okay, he's aware of the film, but he hasn't seen it, all right? But I was trying to get a photograph of his swimming pool in there, but that didn't fly. All right, what was the second part of the question? How we went about with the green in the end. That's a good one. We had our science experts, right? And I would talk to them about if the ozone, and they read the script, and they said, yeah, it's great, Abel. The less you talk about it, the better. Concentrate more on the twilight zone than what the actual scientific reality is. The film obviously isn't a scientific documentary. So who knows what the end would be like? I think that's a kind of a combination of the atmosphere thinning and what you see in the movies. You know what I mean? But also, it's not a CGI effect. That's actually the aurora borealis being filmed. So what you see in the sky is an actual natural atmospheric event that we used. So it wasn't created by a computer.
The challenge for us was to make a film in real time. So we started off basically at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we ended up at 4:44. And it was very difficult because we didn't want to go in. We didn't really want to get involved in a green screen process where we were going to put put images outside that were going to be CGI'd on what happens in the exteriors. So as you know, I deferred mostly to Abel, and we decided to go digital, and it was an interesting experience, the combination of shooting in one place, trying to be atmospheric, and enable us to go in and outside of the loft, a single location. And I think that we sort of walked a thin line between being dark and gloomy and being romantic simultaneously, I think.
Well, as far as the interiors were concerned, when Abel was writing this piece, we spoke a lot. Occasionally he'd come to my home, and I'd be in his home, and it came up a lot. We'd be in my living room, and he'd say, we should have a piece of furniture like that, or something like that. And it just seemed a lot easier to actually use what he was pointing at. So at the end of the day, it was stuff that came about very naturally, the selection of what's in the apartment. And there's a wall in Abel's home that's painted like a fire engine red. So, we were talking with Shannon, and I was visiting there, and, I was just taking elements of that, and I was visiting with Willem, and he was visiting with me, and I just wanted to bring some really personal stuff that they could be familiar with, and at the same time, be a little alienated from. And the alienation, I think I succeeded. At least I knew that on our first day of shooting. But we came together, and that's what we came up with. It was always going to be one set, an interior set. So we wanted to have some texture in there, and that's why the floor kind of evolves into the wall and into the ceiling, and Anyway, and thankfully Abel was really wonderful in the insights that we were going back and forth with, as were Shannon and Willem, and my old friend Ken. We didn't have to do too much arm wrestling.
I see these kids on the subway, man. They got their telephones, and they're locked into the whole world. You know what I mean? And you go on your internet, and you can see your own house, and you can watch yourself through Google Earth, watching yourself. And you know what I mean? It gets to the point you don't know if you're looking out the window or you're looking at your television set. When you talk about a matrix, or when you put a camera into a mirror, it could go on infinitely. And I think that's what the internet and when you call multidimensional, whatever. I mean, that's what the world has gotten to. Cameras on every corner. You get mugged now. You got 3 cameras covering it, and you have a camera facing yourself on your computer, which everyone has, and so it's really stepping into that world, which I love these kids take on as they're born into it. It's not like they're learning it; they got it. You watch their hands fly on their telephones or on their machines at 5 years old. They're like, that was the main point I wanted to make in this film. I mean, I really didn't give it, I could care less what color the sky was, how it really was going to get on. If we could have avoided the whole issue, I mean, in the end, the choice was, like he's talking about sound, we're going with wind without rain, rain without, an earthquake, whatever. The bottom line is this film is about man's destruction of the earth, okay? Now, if that's a metaphor for man's destruction of himself, then that's what the film is about. This isn't about a meteorite hitting the earth. This isn't about a god's, some horror show, you dig? This is about humanity not coming to terms with its, what is the word, carbon footprint, whatever you want to say. It's on us. It's our responsibility. It's we did it. This isn't an accident. This isn't, something, an act of God, as they say in the insurance claim. Okay, this is an act of man. And that's what the piece is about. So everybody in this film, every character there has to face it, And when you know what time, it's a horrible thought. A funny thing being in Venice, 2 years ago, when I was thinking about this film, I was flying to Venice, and the plane had it was the only time I was in a really bad scene where this plane looked like it was going down. I mean, I don't know how many people have been in an airplane when the oxygen masks actually drop. But, if you want to see a scene out of Alien, watch these oxygen masks. And then they dropped on half of the plane. So it's a good thing no one was on the plane. But when I'm looking at the airplane turning around and going back over the ocean, and I'm thinking, man, I'm about to die. You don't want to know the moment you're going to die. I mean, so many people, unfortunately, it's a harsh show of disease, cancer, again, which is maybe, part of our ecological destruction, our poisoning of the world and the people. And you're given a time frame. Yeah, that's a nightmare, man. That's a horror. And I think that's part of the anguish. And I think that's part of the anguish that, Cisco, Willem, whoever plays, in a way, we tried to get to the point of Easter Island. There's a lot more further advanced civilizations than ours that have bit the dust, that have gone down. It's not like, oh my God, this can't happen. I mean, we live in a world of like